Hi, I'm Lindsay Dill, and I'm a career consultant with the Engineering Career Development Center. And today I'm going to be chatting with you about how to evaluate job offers and also negotiate salary. Of course, this is a very important topic. It's really multifaceted. There's a lot of things to consider. So we're going to be going through each of those with you today. So to begin, just with a reality check, ask yourself what stresses you out about salary negotiation. Is it that you don't want to ask for more money? Is it that you are receiving multiple job offers and you're just overwhelmed with all of the considerations? Whatever that is to you, just think about that, and we'll talk about different ways that you can alleviate that stress. These are some top mistakes that people make when negotiation. The first one is just accepting the first salary offer. So, you don't want to just flippantly accept the very first offer that comes your way. You want to make sure that you are, definitely evaluating all of the options that you have available to you. The second is being the first to name a figure. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in a moment, but you definitely want to let that employer sort of take that initiative to offer the first amount. Failing to do your homework, so not benchmarking, not knowing what an engineer entry level into a certain job or industry would make on average. You definitely want to have that information available. Not building a strategy for how to go about this negotiation process. Not building a budget. So a lot of times, a common mistake that I see students make is accepting an offer that they feel like sounds really great, sounds like a lot of money for an entry-level employee, but they're not always considering the cost of living and the quality of living in the particular area. So that's definitely something that you want to think about. Also think about the discretionary income that you would need to do the types of things that you want to do. Think about your car payment, your house payment, or your rent. All of those are things that you definitely want to consider when building a budget. Fourth is working with one figure and not a range. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in a moment. Neglecting to negotiate beyond just the base pay. And then taking it personally, because this can definitely be an awkward type situation if you let it be. When you're talking about money, it's kind of a sensitive topic, but you want to kind of take all of those sensitivities away and just kind of approach it as a business dealing. So mistake number one, just accepting. About half of job seekers accept the first offer on the table. 66% of millennials reported not knowing how to ask for more. So you don't even know how to begin the conversation. Why should you negotiate your salary? That's kind of why we're here, right? We're going to talk about all the reasons that that's important throughout this presentation. Did you know that women negotiate less than men? About 55% of women are apprehensive about negotiation, compared with only 39% of men. So I thought that was an interesting statistic. And then also 30% of women always negotiate, which is different than the 46% of men who always negotiate. Mistake number two is being the first to name a figure. So if possible, leave that question blank on the application. I have noticed some applications out there are actually going to require that field have an answer in it. So if that's the situation, then you could always write in something a little bit more vague, like salary is negotiable. My research says the salary range is blank, or I expect to be paid fairly. Any of those types of responses will work. Some of these are tactics employers might use and how to handle them. So sometimes employers will say something like, are you willing to accept the advertised salary? So they, kind of want to know how low will you go in a sense. So one response to that could be, I'd like to discuss the job first. I need to know whether I'm the right fit and that you are actually offering me the job officially. Another employer tactic could be, what would it take for you to accept this job? This is one that I've actually heard before. And a response to that could be, if your offer is fair, then I'm sure we can reach an agreement. Also, if you were able to receive a job from us, would you accept it? And a good response to that would be, while I'm very interested in the job and the company, it depends on the offer. I would be glad to respond to a specific offer. So these are just, some responses that you could kind of file away, so that if you're in that situation and you don't know how to respond, you could use one of these. If an employer defers to you to initiate salary figure, consider these responses. So if they say something, like, hey, what do you want? Tell me what you want. Give me a figure. You could say something like, you're in a much better position to know how much I'm worth to you. Or I'll consider any reasonable offer. You know better than I what this job is worth. Or my research tells me that someone with my skills, education, and qualifications doing this job earns blank amount. What is your offer? Okay, mistake number 4 is not doing your research. So you definitely want to benchmark your starting salary so you're aware of the average. A couple of sites that you could use for that would be salary.com or glassdoor.com. Also, you want to build your strategy. So you want to actually have a strategy. You just don't want to go into this job negotiation process blindly and kind of winging it to see what happens. You definitely want to develop a strategy first. So think about things like, what about your experience or skill set should factor into your starting salary? So is there anything beyond just you're a graduate in mechanical engineering or in electrical engineering that is, starting his or her career? Is there anything extra? I mean, maybe you've done extensive project work. Maybe you've been on a team who is up for patent. Maybe you have extensive co-op experience. Whatever the case might be, think about those skills and that amount of experience that might factor in. Also, look at the range for the job title from the 25th to 75th percentile, and identify a target salary below, at, or above the median. So we talked a little bit about how it's better to name a range rather than a specific number. So just make sure that you're aware of what that range is. Have a range in mind versus a specific number, because you want to make sure that you use that target salary as the bottom of the range, not stretching more than 20% above. Building a budget. So this is another site, paycheckcity.com, that might help you build that budget and also calculate your take-home pay. So that discretionary income that we talked about. So you'll know exactly what you need to make to live a comfortable life for you. All right. So also, this is really important, thinking what is important to you beyond salary, because I think a common mistake that students make is just approaching job evaluation just purely objective based on a number, a salary number alone, without considering all the other factors. And there can be some other factors that are quite important. Insurance is definitely important. I would definitely say that you check into that company's health, dental, vision, critical illness, disability, life insurance. All of those types of insurance are so important to look into. So definitely check that out. If you need to talk to someone, you can even talk to one of us about that. To say, hey, is this really a good plan, or is this an average plan? Retirement options are also really important, public versus private, matching percentage, things like that. Paid leave and holidays. So, for some students, having a lot of time off is very important, and I wouldn't be ashamed of that or dismiss that. I mean, if you're the type of person that likes to travel, or you like to, work 40-hour weeks and be done, then if that's important to you, then you need to consider that when you're evaluating job offers, because not all jobs are going to allow for that. Some jobs give you very limited annual leave each year, especially as a new employee. Some jobs are going to expect you to put in 60-hour work weeks. So you just need to know that going in and be aware of that. Also, tuition reimbursement, especially in the field of engineering. A lot of you guys might be interested in earning higher level degree, whether a master's or doctorate, or maybe another bachelor's degree. So if that's the case, a lot of companies do tuition reimbursement. Some companies are really going to encourage their employees to go back to school more than others. So it sometimes is helpful to know that, and that can really add a lot to your salary. You know, they're willing to pay for your school. So this is a chart that I like to take a look at, because I think this is important. These are the benefits that are most valued by job seekers right now. And again, there is no right or wrong answer to this. Everybody is different. Everybody's preferences are different. So if this is not what it looks like for you, then you know, you need to build your own chart and know this. So health insurance, you can see, is right at the top, along with more flexible hours and more vacation time. So, you know, it kind of goes down from there. But again, I would really encourage you to take a look at this and figure out the factors that are important to you. Some other things to consider, relocation assistance. If you are going to be moving, you know, sometimes across the country, that can really start to add up as far as the financial burden of moving all of your things. Office space flexibility. So, you know, a lot of times students really value the ability to work from home or telecommute. So if that's something that your company offers, then that can be a huge advantage to you. Travel reimbursements and accommodations. So, you know, if you are traveling with work, you know, how much exactly are they going to cover? Where are they going to have you stay? What are you going to be driving? What airline are you going to be flying when you go to these places? Those are all important considerations. The dress code and office culture. So, you know, again, it might not matter to you. You might be okay in a suit and tie, or, you know, dressed up every day to work. But for some of you place a high value on being able to be casual and, you know, just kind of having more of a casual work environment. So if that's the case for you, then definitely consider that high on your list. Personal and work use resources. So, you know, are they going to provide you with a phone, technology, company vehicle, on-site parking? Those are all important, and they can really start to add up. You know, with some organizations, just parking alone, you know, could be $300 or $400. So, and that's one of those things that's kind of a sneaky expense that you might not really think about or really factor in when you're weighing, you know, job offers, but it can really start to add up. So personal growth and advancement. So a lot of companies now have on-site health and wellness resources. Some companies will even pay you for taking screenings, you know, health screenings. Some will pay for gym memberships. Some will pay, you know, for you staying healthy, basically, and participating in wellness activities. Professional development opportunities. So this is another big one that, you know, you can really benefit yourself, you know, especially in the field of engineering. You know, if your company offers training on a particular type of software, and you can take that training for free, then you're really building up your resume and your own personal skill set, and it's on the company's dime. So that's really nice if your company offers that. Discounts on products and services, services for significant others. You know, what are the advantages? Maybe there's a tuition reimbursement for dependents, or maybe there's a flexible spending account for, or a health savings account for your dependents. Those are all important things to consider as well. All right, so if the salary range and benefits are still not exactly what you want them to be or what you desire, consider these responses. My research on pay scales for this job in this area has led me to believe that I would be offered more. Is that possible? Another one could be, I'm excited about this potential opportunity. I've taken the time to research the area and look at comparable positions. My research is showing that a range of X would be more in line with the factors I analyzed. It could always be just, I appreciate your willingness to discuss these details with me, and then insert your own comments. Okay, when you've heard back from one company but are still waiting on another, this is a very common scenario that really stresses students out sometimes. So my recommendation is to be honest and ask for a bit more time, but be ready to respond if they deny your request. So are sometimes going to call your bluff and say, no, we talked about you letting us know by Tuesday, so we really still need an answer by Tuesday. So in that case, you could say something like, I'm so grateful for the offer and excited about the possibility of joining your company. I know you want my response by Friday. I have one final conversation booked this week with another company, and I'd like to see it through. Would it be possible to have a few more days to firm up my decision? So of course, you don't have to copy this word for word, but this is just kind of an idea of how you buy yourself a little bit more time if you need it. When you've heard back from one company but are still waiting on your top pick, so say there's like a dream job out there and they still have not gotten back to you. It seems like it's more common for the company that you really want to be the company that hasn't responded yet. So in that case, it could be something like, I'm so excited about the possibility of working for your company. Thank you so much for considering me. I think that I'll really be able to make an impact in this particular area. I wanted to make sure that you're aware of something that's developed this week and see if you have a recommendation. I've unexpectedly received another job offer. If it was expected, you don't have to say unexpectedly, because I do recommend that you're as honest as possible. While you are by far my top pick, there are aspects of the other role that appeal to me. They would like a response within the next couple of days. Do you anticipate that you'll be making a decision shortly? So I know this is kind of a lengthy response, and you definitely would want to cull it down and tailor it to your particular situation. But this is just an example of, again, how you could possibly buy a little bit more time if you need it. If you are ready to accept the job offer in good faith. So when you accept a job offer, you should have every single 100% intention of honoring that commitment. Accepting an offer only as a precautionary measure is misleading to the employer, as it may restrict opportunities for others who are genuinely interested in that employer or damage your relationship with other employers. So, I think a lot of times students will say, well, there's really no harm in just accepting something, and then if my dream offer pops up later, I'll accept that. The company will understand, but you really have to consider the company, and you have to understand the greater impact that has, not only on your reputation, but also the University of Alabama's reputation as a whole. Because a lot of companies have seasons that they do their recruiting in. And so, if you accept an offer during that season and then a few months later retract it, then you're really kind of putting them in a tough spot, because now they have this vacancy that they weren't expecting, and the recruitment season for them is already over. So it's going to be a lot harder probably than you think it is for them to replace you. And a lot of times that's going to negatively impact their view of University of Alabama students. And it could actually cause them to not want to attend our career fair, not want to come back for information sessions and interviews and things like that. We've had that situation happen quite a few times, unfortunately. And so please don't do that. Withdraw from recruiting when your job is completed, job search is completed. So let employers know that you're actively considering you for a job that you are now out of the running. So just go ahead and tell them, hey, I didn't want to leave this open-ended. I have accepted a job offer. I'm telling you, they'll appreciate it. And if anything ever in the future were to come open with that company that you decline, then you haven't burned a bridge. You could always go back to them if, in the future, if that situation worked in your favor. But if you do renege on a job offer, I can tell you that it does have the possibility not only of reflecting poorly on us, but also on your reputation. And companies talk to one another. And so even if you don't want to work for that one particular company that you declined an offer for, they could actually talk to their colleagues in other industries and other companies. So it's just best not to do that. All right. Also, protect yourself. Make sure that your job offer is in writing. This is another mistake that I've seen students make, is they will accept a verbal offer, and the verbal offer will never really materialize. And so that's really the worst case scenario, because then you've accepted something in good faith, but maybe you and that employer had a miscommunication about the start date, about the salary, about the benefits, anything like that. And it wasn't in writing. So you don't have any way to like really protect yourself in that situation. So I would say once you make that decision and you shake hands with that employer or that recruiter, just make sure you also have it in writing, all the details of what you discussed. All right, so in conclusion, salary negotiation isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. So don't hesitate to contact us in the Engineering Career Development Center with any questions or just talk through your options, and we'll be happy to help you. Thank you so much for watching this presentation. This is our information, so just let us know if you have any questions.